Hello everyone, this is Music Mukbang. I'm Zoe, and today we are here with ex-ambassadors. Hi guys!
Hi.
What's going on?
Alright, so before we get into our snacks, I'll have you guys go down the line, starting with Sam.
Yes.
And introduce yourself and what you play in the band.
Sam Nelson Harris, vocalist, and play a little guitar, a little bass, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Casey?
I'm Casey. I'm the piano player.
And I'm Adam, and I'm the drummer.
Nice. Well, nice to meet you guys. So, today we have some Costco liquor chocolates. We have regular
Nice.
dark chocolate, and then we have the Towny beer of champagne, Rigs. So
Okay, all
We'll
right.
start with the liquor chocolates and
Oh, wow.
the dark chocolate.
All right.
Wow, this is
So-
extravagant.
I wanna try the
haven't had
dark
one of these
chocolate.
in a
Dark
long
chocolate?
Can I
time.
try?
Okay.
Can I just go in?
Yeah,
On it?
go in. It might be a
Yeah.
little soft, so
Ooh.
I have napkins too if you need.
All right.
That's great. Honestly. What
Casey,
would
do you
you recommend
want-
here? Yeah.
I
think
am
that was-
definitely a fan of the liquor chocolates.
Yeah,
If you would like.
I'll do
I'll
a little.
grab you
We
one,
don't play
Casey.
until 10, sure.
All right.
Mm. Who's
Go.
Costco?
Yeah.
good.
That one's Aldi. So then, for the liquor chocolates,
I love Aldi.
Oh, thank you.
the
Oh,
bottom you
my
bite
God.
it first.
The
And
bottom,
then
like, wow.
The bottom of the chocolate.
Is it
and then
open right now, or do you just? Is
Do
it
I
wrapped?
unwrap
It's
it,
wrapped
or-
up.
You unwrap it,
Okay.
and then
You don't eat the
Okay,
wrapper.
The
I
wider-
was thinking about it for a second there.
Yeah, you just throw it
Almost
in.
had me.
I mean, you
were-
could eat it,
Yeah,
but,
almost
like-
had me there. It was close.
But then you bite the bottom, you drink the liquor, and
Oh,
then you pop the
wow.
rest of it in the mouth. Adam, how
Whoa.
about you?
I'm gonna pass on the liquor.
Like, okay,
chocolate.
do you want regular
No
chocolate?
regular chocolate.
I would
Okay.
love some.
Sweet.
Oh wow, it's like
I
a
don't-
little tiny shot glass.
Something about the
Yeah.
liquor chocolates, I just.
You don't like liquor chocolate?
No, I mean some people
They just
don't
kinda
like
like-
the.
I fuck with
I
liquor
don't know.
chocolate. I'll try one.
You
Oh,
So
it's really nice. Yeah, it's the tiniest little bit. Of
Yeah.
sugar, too. Oh,
I
wow.
think we determined it would take probably about like 8 of them to like
Feel
feel
anything.
anything
yeah.
at
Get a
all.
little bit of a
You're right,
buzz.
Yeah.
Wow, that is really nice.
We're
Yeah.
Remy Martin,
Yes.
a little cognac.
Okay, and then is anyone interested? We don't have to do these now if we don't want. But
I'd take a sip of a little
Okay.
Towny
I've
beer.
got to. I mean, it's
Okay.
Try
it's
it.
the Towny beer.
Got
After
it.
all.
one
I'd
for
feel
you.
criminal
Mm.
not at least trying a sip.
Sweet.
Down. All right.
Thank
Sweet.
Twist my arm to drink a beer.
Yeah. Right.
This is great. This is the
It's
best
so
interview I've
good,
ever had.
right?
Yeah, best interview ever.
Oh,
This
actually,
is really great.
yeah.
I'm European. We have to feed you. If,
I
Where are
appreciate
you from?
that. Represent.
I'm 50% Swiss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice,
So my
okay.
dad's family is all from
So
Switzerland.
you know chocolate and beer then.
Exactly.
Exactly.
One of the most beautiful places I think I've ever seen in my life was Montreux in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Insane. Have you ever been there?
I have not yet, and
Oh my God.
Oh my
it's
God.
very shameful because
Mhm.
I need to.
You haven't taken a trip to the motherland in a long
No,
time.
have not been to the motherland.
Okay, so
just
this
yet.
is the local.
Yeah, so this is the local, and then it claims that the notes are banana and clove, which
I can
like
get
I
the
smell banana.
I
Yeah,
I
definitely-
do
smell
smell.
banana.
Yeah, I feel like you taste it like after you're like, okay, that's what I was tasting.
I kind of get the banana. I don't get the clove though.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like if it was clove, I wouldn't.
I smell the banana.
Yeah.
To be fair, my palate's not the most cleansed after eating
Yeah,
the
the
chocolate.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
that it pairs
Kinda
well
messes it up.
together, but
Yeah, so-
but yeah, this is like
This is great, though.
my
I kinda like
favorite. And they do like Oktoberfest, and they do like
Okay.
a
Oh, yeah.
Christmas market and stuff, and they
Oh,
like
Oh,
that's
cute.
awesome.
I'm sure this is like pretty common at like other breweries and stuff too, but they'll do like an orange soda mixed with the beer.
Oh, like
And
a
it's-
brass monkey
Yeah,
on steroids.
it's
Oh,
so good.
Whoa.
It's like
Wow.
delicious, and especially for me, I'm like,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's very festive.
It kind of
Yeah.
sounds like Iron Brew or something. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
From Scotland.
Mhm.
That's
It
true.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
But-
that's pretty good.
This is awesome.
This is
Yeah.
but
Quite like
yes,
it.
so
It's light.
yeah, exactly. It's like very easy to drink. So
Dangerously drinkable.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. So they have the brewery and stuff there. But over time, obviously, you've been on tour a lot. Is there any meals or local specialties that you've tried that stood out to you?
I mean,
Meals wise, I'll always remember when we were playing Europe back in the late 2010s. This place in Italy, I think it's shut down now. That what was it called? The place that was over a car.
no, that was in France. That was in
Oh, that
Paris,
was in
but it was an
France.
Italian,
Italian
restaurant.
in
Oh.
Paris. That's why I was like, yeah.
Nolita.
Nolita. Okay.
Nolita.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was.
Okay.
We ate there 2 times, right? I think
Yeah.
both
That's
times
enough.
were like fully paid for by someone from
By, like,
Interscope.
the label.
And so we
right.
just like
right.
Went crazy.
went
in.
crazy.
That was a meal to remember. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just where
I
it was
bet.
just, you know, those 13-course meals. It was like that, where it'd just be.
We took our dad with us the second time we went, and he was like, this is the greatest meal I've had in my entire life. Just
my gosh.
eating so much crazy rich food. Is great.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
and like,
that was a good
I
one.
mean, where they're like, I guess it's Italian food, so there wouldn't be snails and stuff, but it's probably a lot
We
of
ate lots of snails in France, though.
But we
too.
definitely,
Really?
I love
pretty
escargot.
banging.
It's
Really?
so
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like-
It's not what you would think. It's not like people think it's gross. It's
Yeah.
absolutely not. It's like
It's
like mussels or something
Okay,
like that.
okay.
It's
Yeah,
like a
I feel-
vehicle for butter and
Yeah.
garlic.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
They're
all.
really
Got
banging.
it, got
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Really
okay.
good,
So it's
actually.
like just swapping out the bread for
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
else. Got it.
exactly.
Okay, well, is there any like bad restaurants you've been to? Not to like
I mean,
drag anyone through the mud,
Countless.
but like any meals that stuck out to you as like, ooh.
well, the worst catering that I think we ever had was at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Oh
we-
yeah, that was shameful.
Hot dogs and
dude.
lettuce.
That was
Oh,
crazy.
no.
Yeah.
At the biggest
Oh, no.
festival in England,
Yeah.
and it was
Oh
just
boy.
I mean, so many bad meals, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
You know, we were in Canada for 3 weeks, and we usually like get pizza every night after
Yeah,
the show.
yeah.
It's from like a local place,
Right.
and it was like the most shit pizza for 3 weeks in a row. Like not even one like
Oh, yeah.
outlier.
But surprisingly consistently the exact same. Like
Yeah.
no matter what
The
local
same
place
level
you
of
order from,
badness.
it was like they all got their pizza frozen from the same
Ugh.
outlet or wherever.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
We're always just kind of rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you had traditional Chicago deep dish?
Of course.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course. Okay,
Oh,
you guys know.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, let me ask you this then. Deeper dive.
Okay.
Have you had
The restaurants?
Illuminati's
Oh, okay.
versus
Oh.
Giordano's?
Yes.
Do we
You've had both?
do
Had
we
both.
always get Lumalnati's or do we always get?
We've been to both, but we usually
I
stay
think we-
closer to Lumino.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
guess depends on where you're staying and stuff too.
Not necessarily like devotees to either.
Okay,
one.
just so we're clear for the
But-
Chicago
Yeah, we're not
people.
that hard.
Yeah.
We're not that hardcore about it.
Got it. Okay. And for you, Sam, when you're like hitting those high notes in Unsteady, is there any like caution that you have or anything that you pay attention to as far as like eating or drinking?
Yes. So
So
my years of like worrying about my voice and seeing a bunch of different laryngologists and working with a vocal
Yeah.
coach, they all encourage you to avoid eating like fried foods and spicy foods and
Okay.
anything too acidic like tomatoes.
Oh, interesting.
I try just in general to avoid like eating like a big fried greasy meal.
Right. No funnel cakes.
For me, honestly, the biggest thing is like if I eat too close to when we go on stage because then I'm burping throughout the entire show. It's so
Yeah.
it's
People
so
don't want
bad,
that.
and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I can't like control it.
Right, and
I'm
I
just
feel
like belching in the middle of a note.
Yeah, and I feel like it makes it harder too to like you obviously have the way that you get the breath out, and it's gonna disrupt
Yeah,
everything
it's
there.
so yeah.
Can't
so I
take as
gotta
deep of a breath with a full tummy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta be careful. I
Okay,
gotta be
that's.
careful.
And would you say that that's like something that maybe more emerging bands or more people that are kind of getting adjusted to their voice is something that they should be learning or they should be paying attention
Yes,
to?
I hear way too much burping on stage these days. You guys.
I gotta stop it.
No, I mean, I think it's like each to their own.
Right.
I found, I think I found a healthy balance. I went really like in the beginning. I just didn't do anything.
Right.
I didn't warm up. I didn't do anything, and
Right.
then I suffered the consequences of that. And then I went like OD in the other direction and became like a monk on tour. But then I kept getting sick because I was so stressed out about
Right,
like keeping
okay.
my voice in shape and keeping my body in shape.
Yeah.
So I've now found a middle ground where it's like they tell you not to drink alcohol at all. Like I drink alcohol. I
Well, we
have a
did
cup of
kinda ruin
coffee. We
that
did
already.
ruin that already.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and like the food thing too. If
Right.
I'm in an incredible place with an incredible meal in front of me, and it's like I have to go on stage in an hour.
Yeah.
I'll do it now.
Right.
And maybe get away with one little burp on stage.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, you guys are seasoned pros. We were talking about it before we like started recording. You guys have been here way back even in 2013. So
Sure.
you
Yeah,
know
10 years ago.
what
It's
works for
crazy.
you and what doesn't.
The
so
secret is you
Yeah.
make the burp part of the performance.
there you go. It's like you
Exactly.
turn it into a little bit of a comedy bit.
Exactly.
It's like jazz.
Yes.
Exactly.
Life is like jazz.
That's true.
Really.
Exactly. So now this is a question that I tend to ask all the bands when I interview them, and we can kind of go down the line. And I'm not sure exactly how this would work for keyboard, but you can.
We'll see. I'll roll with it.
But what strings, picks, and sticks you guys use? I guess maybe for keys you would just say
What keyboard?
what keyboard.
Yeah, I guess that's
yeah.
fair.
Okay, let's start with you,
See
Sam.
if I have
and
a
then...
pick on me. No, I don't. I use like medium gauge orange picks.
Dunlop picks.
What, are they
Okay.
Dunlop? Yeah.
Nice.
Dunlop
I think
picks.
so.
Wow, you know this. I don't know. What kind of sticks do you use?
I use Vic Firth 5B
Okay.
standard, and I
Nice.
play Masters of Maple drums.
Okay.
Is the company I play.
Nice. How about you, Casey?
Well, I'm not playing it tonight. I always rent these days, but I've had
Uh-huh.
the same Nord Stage 2 for 13 years now.
Wow.
I went to that.
Wow.
And it is beat to all hell, but it still works. It still works. And the great thing about those keyboards is I load all the sounds from them just onto my computer, and then I can take that anywhere, plug it into another Nord Stage, and I'm good to go.
Gotcha. So then that kind of makes the renting easier then?
Yep, it's amazing. I mean, it's the identical. It's all my sounds that I've spent painstaking hours trying to dial in.
Yeah.
Just wherever I am, I've got them. It's great.
Exactly, and then
It's
you don't
glorious.
have the risk of like anything getting lost or anything like that.
And
You
all the
just have...
things that are broken on my keyboard are not broken on the rental.
there
so
you
it's
go.
great.
There you go. Right on, for sure. So obviously, like you have been around. You've been doing this for a while. Was there a like notable or pivotal moment in your music career as a band, as X ambassadors, where you realized that this was something you're like, okay, this is gonna be something that I do for the rest of my life?
Oh man.
We've
I mean,
always sort of, as far as doing it for the rest of our lives, like this is the thing we've wanted to do for the longest time and
Right.
have been doing for the longest time. I think at this point it's sort of more of a question of what else would we do with our lives
Right.
if we weren't doing this. But I don't know, pivotal moments. I think that I remember when we first started touring, that really felt like we were getting professional. We were starting to actually, do this for a living. I had to quit my day job in New York City as a piano tuner because we were touring. And,
Right.
So that felt really grown up. That was like okay, this is the way we're going to make money now. This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because it's like such a job that is like for people who, in some part of themselves, want to be children forever. Like, and this speaks to this because I think I knew that this was something that I was going to do for the rest of my life. Maybe the first show that I ever played when I was like in front of an audience. We played like a talent show at our middle school, and I was maybe 12 years old and playing original music that we wrote on stage in front of like a crowd of kids and getting the feedback back from them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, I'm in love. This is what I want to do forever.
Sold.
Yeah,
Sold.
sold. So, and I think that again, that speaks to the fact that this is a job for people who want to hang on to that feeling of excitement, from when they were kids, for forever.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And recently, you guys posted a video on YouTube for Start a Band, and in
Yeah.
it, you guys are playing that standard basement garage
Yeah,
setup.
that was
Is-
where
Yeah.
we used to
That's
rehearse
the
when we were
base.
kids.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I was like, is it strange coming back after being on like a big tour with like, lots of people packed in there to like going back and like doing something, small like that?
It was cool.
It
Yes.
was fun.
Yeah, it was
like-
really fun.
Yeah.
It's sort of cathartic in a weird way. I mean, it's like it's a real way to get perspective on how far you've come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Back in
definitely.
the original broke down basement.
What's
Yes.
wild is that like I just remember so many hours spent trying to make, because we had a bunch of like recording equipment when we were kids that
Yeah.
we had just all pooled money together and bought, and it was
Yeah.
all bad equipment. And recording technology, was so far behind at that
Sure.
point that it was such a struggle to make that room sound good. But that was
Yeah.
mostly what we spent time doing down there. It's like trying to record ourselves. And then
Yeah.
we were back in there setting all the gear up ourselves and like trying to record ourselves again
Yeah.
as like grown men and then actually making it sound pretty good. And that was
Yeah.
kind of the same thing that happened when we were kids. You'd get to a point where you're like, oh man, this actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. That juxtaposition.
Yeah,
of it.
so it was really
That's
funny
wild.
to go back. And
Well,
do
I
the same
mean,
thing
that
again.
translates perfectly next into my question. I was curious to know, for you, Sam and Casey, what was music like growing up in your household, and you too, Adam? Were your parents pretty, like, were they musicians? What was that like?
We all kind of come from musical families. I mean,
Yeah.
our mom was a singer.
Okay.
So she was a jazz cabaret singer. She did a lot of
Got
like classic songbook stuff and Great American Songbook stuff.
Yeah.
Great like like some Sondheim, some Gershwin, some old show tunes like that.
And she could accompany herself on the piano too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she did all that. And,
Our
it's very
dad
much...
can't hold a tune to save his life, but
he always said he played the record player really well.
There you
yeah,
go.
he had a great record collection. And then Adam's family
Yeah,
all were musicians. And
I have 2 older brothers
Uh-huh.
and who are musicians, and my dad is a musician. My uncle's a professional musician. My grandparents are all musicians.
Gotcha. So it would have been
Yeah.
kind of weird if you hadn't, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
that was like, that was a part of my life since as far
Right.
as I can remember.
Well, and do you feel like that made it a little bit easier to pursue that as
For
opposed
sure.
to, because I feel like a lot of times you hear artists, their parents are like, it's not a real career. You gotta be a
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But is there like a certain amount of pressure that comes with that to kind of like live up to it, or?
No, it wasn't pressure. There was never pressure of like, I don't think any, like the people, one person in my family is like a professional musician.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are musicians who are not professional. So
Okay.
they never told me not to be a musician or
Right.
that it would be too hard or anything. But they probably would have also preferred, at that time, now in hindsight, they would want me to be a musician, but 13-year-old
Not
me, they'd
knowing.
probably be like,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Right. They'd be like, we need one doctor.
But they always, everyone was very encouraging. Everyone else I know was told like they couldn't be,
Yeah.
their parents wouldn't let them play in bands, or they
Yeah.
wouldn't let them go to college for music or whatever it was. I had nothing but support.
Yeah, I
So I
feel
was
like that's
really
a game
lucky.
changer.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you
yes.
guys are here, so
Yeah, it's
obviously it's...
Definitely made a difference.
Sam and Casey, did you guys start out playing the same instruments, or did you always kind of have your own thing?
Well, like playing together in a band or playing our own.
The same
instruments
thing.
that
Like,
we
did
do?
you guys both start out on keyboard?
I mean, I think you did take piano lessons for a little
I
while.
did.
I think you weren't.
Yeah.
You weren't too into it. I was more
Yeah.
into it, so
Mm.
I think you quit. And Sam was playing a bunch of it. Sam took saxophone
Okay.
in middle school, right?
That
And
was
then,
my first.
Okay.
Then guitar. I sort of just, stuck with piano. I dabbled in a few other things, but I always got frustrated because I was never as good at those other instruments as I was at piano. So
Yeah.
I just stuck with piano.
Oh, I feel that for sure. I feel
Yeah.
that if you're good at it, why
Yeah,
switch it up?
but I was singing since I could speak.
Yeah.
That's true.
Adam started off on guitar.
Yeah.
Did you really?
That's true.
What made you switch?
I just was way better at drums.
Okay, so
Actually,
sticking
how it
with what
goes.
we're good at.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's a theme here.
The first time I tried to play drums, I was better than if you compared the instruments, I was better at drums with no training than I was with
Interesting.
years of guitar lessons.
That's crazy. And like my brother is the same way, where it's like he can just kind of like pick up something and he just you're like, how did you do that? He's like, I don't know. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm like, I wish I had that like kind of mentality about it, but
Yeah.
I'm too type A to
Yeah,
I
you
feel
know,
that.
I feel
no,
that.
for sure.
I
But
feel
so Towny, the new album released
Oh,
in
yes.
April of this year. I do most of my podcast here in Champaign, which we were talking about a little bit before.
Nice.
I've been here about 6 years
Mhm.
now. I was not born here, but I want to know your guys' opinion on, do you think that you have to be born a townie, or can you become a townie?
That is a great
Oh, I
question,
mean, I
man.
think you totally can become a townie.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, Casey and I were born in Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
We moved to Ithaca when I was 3. Casey was 5.
yeah.
You
Okay.
know,
I think
so we're prime examples of
Yeah.
that. And I think, I mean, I think you don't have to be born a townie to be a townie. You can easily become a townie.
So I think if
You get
I
sucked
think
into
I
it.
think what I'm hearing is if you drink enough rigs.
Yes, if you
That's
drink
true.
If you
enough
drink enough
rigs,
local craft beer, then you'll become a
You'll become one of the
townie.
people.
You'll at least become a hipster. You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Champlain hipster.
There you
Yes.
go.
Exactly. So I mean, now that you guys have gone on a bunch of tours, seen a bunch of different towns, things like that, do you definitely do you come back and do you feel the pull and the appeal of Ithaca more, coming back and being there?
I think I definitely do these
Yeah.
days. I mean, it's, obviously we've been all over the world at this point, and there's still just something about it. It's a special place. It's hard to put into words, but yeah, I think that also, as I get older and, I have kids now, and
Yeah.
it's just, there's definitely a serious appeal there.
You see why your parents.
Yeah, it all makes sense now.
You're like, I see where you're going with that, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
I love to visit.
Yeah.
I love to leave.
Interesting. Okay. And so wait, so you live there, right, Casey?
No, well, we all live in LA. I have
Okay.
a house there, but
Gotcha.
we all live in LA.
Okay.
He's the only one with like real tangible ties to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. So you kind of are like, it's nice. It's
Yeah.
the album appreciation, but then you're good and you're like,
For sure. I mean,
I'm out.
the album is me forcing myself to be like, this is where you grew up. This is where you're from.
Recognizing
You gotta embrace
yeah.
it. Because
Yeah, for better or for
I wanted to get out of there as soon as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel that, and I grew up in like a very, very tiny town, like outside of Chicago.
Okay.
And it was like, it was basically like forest, but then,
Right.
like suburb,
Yeah.
but like it was suburbs in a forest, right? And so,
yeah, absolutely.
and, there were kids, and the schools were big enough, but it was like, after year, summer after summer, staying there, I feel like you kind of run into that of like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, it's claustrophobic for
and
sure.
that's why I came to Champaign for school, because I was like, all right, small town, biggest school possible,
Yeah.
like within the
That's fair.
state.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but then now I find myself becoming a townie in
Yeah,
Champaign, which is a
man.
bigger town, but
I think it's a beautiful thing, when you find a close-knit community that you feel supported in.
Yes.
And I think that honestly, like, quality of life more often than not these days seems like it's better in a small town.
Definitely.
Living in LA is great, but it is not for the
Faint of heart.
faint of heart,
Faint of heart.
or it's expensive and it's chaotic and it's all the things.
People definitely have very polarizing opinions of this, but New York City or LA?
Yeah.
Which one is better?
The age-old
Right?
debate.
It's totally. Oh man, it is totally depending on your personality.
Right,
New
right.
York City is if you like being out of your house all the time and just like being in amongst the people and doing stuff and going to different places throughout the day. New York City there's nowhere more exciting or better than New York City.
Right.
It's just like there's anything and everything to do every day, all the time, at your fingertips. But LA, if you want big city, but also a little bit of nature and a little bit
There
of
you
peace
go.
and quiet.
Yeah.
That's where you go.
Okay.
It really depends on
Yeah,
what
I
you
mean
want.
that's a native Los Angelino.
Yeah.
Are you really? Okay.
I mean, I love New York too.
Yeah.
But I feel like at this point, New York's the best place in the world to be 18
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
to
the best.
25.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then
It's the
LA is the
best.
best place for all other ages besides that, if you ask me.
Okay.
Being a kid in New York is cool too. Once you turn like 30,
Yeah.
you don't, want to go.
You're like,
Your energy levels aren't
Once
quite
you're
what they
like-
used to be. Yeah.
Once you're not trying to go drink like, PBRs and a shot for $4.
Yeah.
The appeal of New York is a little
Less.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay. Do you have a favorite venue that you've played multiple times, or a dream venue that you would still like to play?
Oh, I mean,
We love Red Rocks.
we love
Sure,
playing
played
Red
Red
Rocks.
Yes.
Rocks a bunch
It's
of
so
times.
fun.
Red Rocks.
It'd be nice to headline there again
Yeah.
when it's not pouring rain. That was the
Okay.
last time we
True.
headlined
Okay.
there. It was
That's
amazing,
fair.
but it
Yeah.
was like a torrential
Deluge.
downpour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
Definitely.
freezing.
And it was freezing
Oh.
cold.
It was like November.
Oh no.
Denver.
It was
I
a
feel like
wild-
that's when it gets, because I feel like when you say rain, I picture like, oh, summer
No, it was
rain.
like
But
cold.
no, it was
It was
like-
cold.
It was like they needed heaters on stage so that we
Oh.
could play.
Yeah.
Because it was too
Yeah.
cold.
Man.
But it was, I mean, it was still
beautiful,
incredible.
though.
Yes.
Sold out. It
It's
was
horrible
like-
for the audience.
Yeah, horrible
Yeah,
for the
God.
audience, but
Gosh, I can only
Truly,
imagine.
yeah.
But the views were probably nice.
Yeah,
It was-
exactly. Yeah.
So.
It was epic.
But in January, you take the tour to Australia.
Mhm.
That's exciting. Do you feel like the Ithaca Towny story is like universal or translates to other places that you've seen?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone knows about wanting to get out of where they come from.
Yeah.
And moving off and living that dream life, and then realizing that you do come from somewhere, and that you come from, more importantly even than the place you come from, is the people you come from.
Right.
That you owe all of who you are to those people who brought you up. And
Yeah.
that's so universal. So I feel like that just works everywhere.
Definitely.
I agree. I think that what we tried to do with this record was make it hyper specific to where Casey and I grew up.
Yeah.
And in doing so, crossing our fingers and hoping that specificity would actually end up making, kind of being inviting for people
Yeah.
to be like, oh, this is how their experience growing up was. Well, it's funny because like it makes me think of my
Yeah.
experience growing up in Sydney or in Melbourne or in Brisbane. Or
Definitely.
wherever.
So personal to you guys, but also so deeply
Yeah.
relatable
And I think
to everyone else.
that
Yeah.
seems to work well. I think in general in whatever artistic endeavor you may be doing, if you are able to get more specific, more granular, then kind of opens things up to whoever is consuming it.
Definitely. Is there anything that you've seen in your travels across different countries that you've found interesting or different than fans in the US? Like, for example, I know in Japan, they can be very quiet and they wait until the end to kind of like applaud and stuff. Anything like that? Any nuances
Do
across
you like,
countries?
remember
Yeah.
our Tokyo show being
Yeah,
like that?
it was
I
like
don't
that.
really
Yeah.
remember it being like that.
Interesting.
I do.
You do?
It's
I remember so many people like preparing us for that, and then
Right.
I feel like we hit stage
I
and
feel like
it
that's
was like a regular show.
because we've like dealt with stuff like that, because that reminds me very much of like how all our shows in the Netherlands, all our Dutch
Oh,
shows are like that, where
yeah.
they're like, they'd be rocking up and they're not like yelling during the show, and then afterwards it's like, yeah, just this
Right,
big, yeah.
right,
Like,
right.
I
Exactly.
remember vividly. That's how it is. So I think that prepared us for Japan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
And, oftentimes bands, they have a huge hit and it changes their career, and you kind of go on and you have mixed feelings maybe about how that song changed their life. After you guys have played Renegade for like the thousandth, billionth time, how do you still make it special? How, even though you guys have played it a lot of times, obviously there's people that are still hearing it for the 1st time. What do you do to kind of keep that magic alive, so to speak?
I don't think it's very hard, honestly, because you just get such a thrill out of the reaction it gets from the crowd, and
Yeah.
hearing people sing along to it and seeing how they react to it. That helps you kind of like fall in love with it again and
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I think playing it at soundcheck is probably the hardest time to do it.
it's true.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You're like,
Other
"Come
than
on."
that, it's
Yes.
like you're kind of taking everybody back on a little trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, that song came out almost 10 years ago,
That's insane.
which is so crazy.
That's so crazy.
So
Can't
like you
believe
hear
it.
that song and you kind of picture yourself where you were 10 years ago. And
Yeah.
that's a wild thing to have
That's
happen
crazy.
to you.
'Cause
So
I-
it gets even more, like, gets even cooler and cooler, I think, the
Yeah.
more
That's
time
true.
goes by.
For sure. And also, like, a whole new generation of people discovering it or listening to it and hearing it in
One
a
would
new
hope.
way.
One
Yes.
would hope so.
Exactly.
You know?
Not to, like, make you guys
From
sound
your lips to
old.
God's ear, right there. Yeah.
But is there a song that was most challenging or particularly challenging on Towny to write?
Oh, I mean, yes and no. I think that No Strings took the longest. That
Okay.
song, we started a demo of it in 2018.
Wow.
And then it kind of like shelved it, and it came back around for Towny.
Sure.
I think the hardest one to wrap my head around at first was Follow the Sound of My Voice, just because it's such a personal song about Casey and me and our relationship, and it was uncomfortable, but I always love those moments when I'm like, oh, I don't feel good about this, because that means I'm onto something good.
Yes.
Those two are the ones that come to my mind, I think.
And is there anything that has been different about this tour so far compared to, earlier tours or tours that you've done in the past?
A lot.
Yeah.
I feel like. First of all, mainly the way that we did it. I mean, we've never like put a record out, been on tour while we're doing that, and then did the entire world tour all in a row.
Yeah.
It was it was really hard.
Yeah.
But it was really kind of satisfying to be like doing it all at once and being like, this is the moment. We're putting this record out.
Right.
We're touring it. We're playing the songs every night. We're doing press. We're doing all of this stuff on socials. And we're putting out videos. We're putting out all the content. It was such a concentrated period of time that now that we've wrapped that big tour up, it's like, it's nice to be able to be like, all right, start thinking about like what's going to be next.
Yeah.
That's and in the past it's been so spread out.
Right. I feel like I would imagine it probably like hits a lot harder too, of like, okay, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Do you feel efficient when you do it
in
that way?
I mean, I feel I felt
it's kind of awesome. Yeah.
It's efficient for us, I think. For the fans, it's exciting, but also there's something about them having time to digest.
Right.
But I think there's benefits to both ways.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think like for me, I liked doing it all in a row, but at the same time, we've never done that, and it was like a shock.
It was really hard.
It was like 7 months of, like, I feel like I got home and was like, who the fuck am I? I don't even know how to like call up my friends to hang out. Like,
You're like, am I a person right now?
Yeah,
like, what's going on?
Exactly.
It was intense. It was a lot.
Absolutely. And tonight you're playing Pygmalion Fest at Canopy Club. Is there anything in particular that you're excited about for the show?
Playing it?
The
vibes.
The
Excited
Towny.
to see the people.
Yeah.
And that's always how it is.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea what to expect.
Right.
Like from crowd wise at this show or anything. We're coming to this totally cold, so it's always exciting to see what the crowd's like.
Yeah. I think it's definitely it's always nice shows at Canopy Club, because it's like you get that mix of students and you get the people coming from the townies.
This is the start of a little brief little run for us too, so it's always an exciting way to start.
To go.
Yeah,
Nice.
Getting our hands back into it.
Awesome. Well, it has been a pleasure getting to talk to you guys.
Thank
you
you.
so much for coming on
Thanks so
Music
much
Mug
for
Thing.
talking to us and the chocolates and the beer
Yes,
too.
of course. I'm glad you guys
Truly.
enjoyed. And thank you to all the Townies and Renegades for listening. And thank you to Allie at Universal Music Group 1824 for helping to make this happen. So, yes. Thank you guys.
Rad.
Woo!